champion.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. If we could all please find our seats now, we are ready to start our evening of entertainment. My name is Jamie Staton from WMUR-TV. Proud to announce my co-host for tonight. Many of you know her. Please give her a huge round of applause, Pam Langille. Say hi.
Hi, everyone.
Pam, you look beautiful tonight. Thank you. You really do. I have to say, if we sound half as good as we look, we're going to be great tonight.
Yeah.
Great job, Pam. All right, Pam has a few words that she wants to say.
Hi, I'm Pam Langille. I've been participating in Special Olympics New Hampshire for almost 30 years. Special Olympics is a very important part of my life. I competed in cross-country skiing, basketball, athletics, sprint triathlon, and golf. In addition to sport, I am very active in the Global Messenger program, where athletes like me learn to become spokesperson for Special Olympics. Special Olympics has helped me in a lot of ways. Thanks to Special Olympics, I am a better athlete, a better employee, and a public speaker. It helps me gain confidence and try a new thing and reach my goals.
All right. Thank you, Pam. Pam emailed me a picture of her dress this week. She gave me about 48 hours to try to match it, so I think we did all right. I have to say that I grew up in New Hampshire and I went to Pinkerton Academy and I had my senior prom in this room. My mom was my date that night. And all these years later, tonight, my mom Martha is my date again. Before we dive into the program, I just wanted to say a few words about Special Olympics. First of all, happy 50-year celebration to everyone, because everybody here makes Special Olympics New Hampshire what it is. Congratulations to you. I'd also like to thank everybody that has supported my Boston Marathon runs over the last 4 years. I can't even believe the outpouring of support that I received on so many levels by so many people, and especially the athletes themselves for coming out to the tracks and the gyms and running with me. And I carried you with me each of those races, all 26.2 miles. Thank you for your support, Special Olympians. I really, really loved it. I love the athletes. You know, for a living, I cover athletes, and so many of them make $30 million a year, and they throw temper tantrums. And my favorite athletes are the athletes that are in this room right now, because they compete for the pure joy and satisfaction of participating in sport, and they're really good at it. A couple years ago, I was at the Summer Games, and here comes a runner in one of the sprint races, and he's about to win that race, and gold is in his sights, and he's coming down the back stretch at Wildcat Stadium, and all of a sudden he spots his family and friends in the crowd, and he stops right in his tracks, and he just turns with the most joy you could ever see on anybody's face and body, and just starts jumping up and waving to his fans and friends in the stands. And some of us were yelling, "Come on, you're gonna win, come on!" But all he wanted to do was enjoy that moment with his family and his friends. He stopped in his tracks for just a little moment of joy, and I loved that. We made that our sports play of the year on New Year's Eve that year, because on Channel 9, because it was so great. So when you think about it, Special Olympics New Hampshire, such a first-class, amazing organization. We're running a great race right now, and we are winning. All of us can say we, because we are Special Olympics. We are winning this race. We're on our way to gold, and it's awesome. But tonight, we're taking a moment. We're stopping, and we're looking up into the stands with all our family and friends and enjoying this moment to celebrate 50 years, which is awesome. So again, congratulations to everybody, and we're so happy to be here tonight. Okay, you ready to dive into the script? Pam and I are going to do some reading. That's what the glasses are all about. Thank you very much for being here tonight. We appreciate your support of this important milestone. We have so many accomplishments and literally thousands of individuals that deserve accolades, folks that have voluntarily given their time and talent and support to SONH. It would be impossible to recognize them all, but we will highlight a few of them here now as we go on. If we call your name, please stand and be recognized. Not everybody will be present. These are our scripts. I'm going to hold them right over here, and you can go next, Pam. You didn't get a copy?
No. Over the past 50 years, there have been numerous professionals in business, government, community service, and education that recognize the values of Special Olympics to the athlete, their family, and the community. These folks voluntarily lend their advice, influence, and represent to help move Special Olympics forward. Thank you, Gary Mayo, Ken Viscarello, Mark Duggan, and Ellie Cochran.
We owe our continued thanks to the many businesses and organizations that step up year after year to provide financial support and substantial donations of in-kind goods and services. Thank you, Coca-Cola Beverages Northeast, the Napoli Group, McDonald's, Associated Grocers of New England, Marshall Tent and Event Rental, and the Knights of Columbus. Thank you.
We'd like to thank the people who perform tasks that are less than glorious event after event, year after year, without which we could not be possible to function. Many of you know the amount of work that goes into the setup, maintaining, and breakdown of events. Without people we're willing to do these tasks in all kinds of condition, quality event cannot happen. We like to recognize some of these people who did that work, that were out of the limelight, time after time. Thank you, Gene Mitchell, Vinnie Curtis, Tom O'Brien, and Bessie Fowler.
We are getting closer to our first speaker tonight. We have a little bit of a program before we get to salad and then more dinner or more program after dinner. Thank you to the following groups that have financially supported tonight's event. And everybody looks fantastic, by the way. Way to bring it for Special Olympics New Hampshire. Everybody's dressed up and looking beautiful. But thank you for sponsoring this AB Guile, Bank of America, Elliott Hospital, Eversource, Kentech, Marshall Tent and Event Rental, Symbol Marketing and Promotions, TD Bank, and Wayland Engineering Company.
And finally, we'd like to recognize our current mission partners. We are grateful for the annual support for our mission partner who helped bring our program to life. Thank you, 650 Elm Street, Applebee, Associated Grocer of New England, Catchfire Creative, Circle K, Coca-Cola beverage from Northeast, Eversource Energy, iHeartMedia, Irvin, Knights of Columbus, Law Enforcement Torch Run, Marshall Tent and Event Rental, Mix 94.1, the Napoli Group of McDonald's, Symbol Marketing and Promotion, TD Bank, UNH Athletic, Weldon Engineering Company, and WMUR.
Well done, Pam. And breaking news from WMUR, UNH won their football game 26-13. And as I said the score, I thought to myself, darn, if they taped it, I just ruined it for somebody. Our first speaker tonight is Megan McMullen. Megan is the chair of tonight's event and served as chair of the Special Olympics New Hampshire's Board of Directors. In the mid-1990s, during her time as chair, the organization was awarded the Walter J. Dunphy Award for Nonprofit Excellence. Please welcome Megan.
Thank you, Pam and Jamie. You guys are a hard act to follow. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hearts of Gold Gala. My name is Megan McMullen, and I'm speaking to you in my role as chair of the Gala committee. In the 1990s, when I was a board member, I learned pretty quickly that when you are involved with Special Olympics, you are not alone in your role, because you always find there is a team standing beside you, providing you lots of support. And more recently, about a year ago, Mary Conroy reached out to former board members to put a team together to plan this event. And if you know Mary, you can imagine that the call went something like this. Hey, you know, the group's getting back together again for our 50th anniversary. Are you in? And just like that, she had created a team. Serving on the Gala committee has been a privilege and a pleasure, simply because Special Olympics is all about people, sharing and caring. I have enjoyed reconnecting with Mary and former board members after so many years, and it's been a great opportunity to meet and work with some new people, athletes, volunteers, donors, and current board members. And although we all arrived here by different paths, a significant and positive difference, let me start that again. And although we have arrived here by different paths, we all believe Special Olympics has made and continues to make a significant and positive difference in New Hampshire by providing a sports program that not only empower the athletes, but also show us lessons that help make lives better through kindness and joy. Now, I would like to recognize the Gala committee members and ask those here tonight to please stand. Please join me in thanking these volunteers who helped make this evening so special for so many. Wait, I don't see many people standing up. Gala committee members, where are you? Well done, team, well done, and thank you so much. As mentioned earlier, I was introduced to Special Olympics almost 30 years ago. Shortly after my husband and I moved from Texas to New Hampshire, being new to the area, I wanted to find a good fit for community service. And when I heard Special Olympics was looking for new board members, I thought, of course, that's it, that's me. After all, I love sports, anytime, anywhere, whether just for fun, to compete, or both. I always felt that participating and being active in sports was a win-win because of the great benefits, like lots of positive energy, fun and excitement, joy and friendship, teamwork, setting goals, and reaching those goals. That sounds a little like serving on a Gala committee. Well, think about it. Opportunities to play sports and/or volunteer can be very rewarding and fulfilling. I believed it then, and I believe it today. The opportunities available through Special Olympics teach us many life lessons and skills. I also believe sports training and competition help us dream, literally and figuratively, and to build confidence, strength, and success. We know winning can help us find joy, but we also learn to find joy when we don't win. I know, it's hard, believe me. Losing can teach us to focus and try again, to simply do our best and to be proud of our efforts. Win or lose, we are better for the experience. The Hearts of Gold theme encompasses many of the values, experiences, and positivity that go hand in hand with Special Olympics. We notice how Special Olympics touches hearts when we see the athletes, coaches, volunteers, and donors demonstrate their heart. Whether competing with heart, sharing their heart, and/or giving from the heart. And while people often associate Special Olympics with winning and gold medals, we know it's so much more. Special Olympics is all about heart, and lots of it. So, will you help us pass the torch tonight by sharing your Special Olympics stories and dreams with those around you? Because if you do, we will remember this night as a true celebration of Special Olympics, past, present, and future. Thank you, and enjoy the evening.
Okay, Pam, go ahead.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Megan. Next, we'd like to introduce the current chair of Special Olympics New Hampshire Board of Directors, Kelly Jelinas.
Yes. Kelly has been volunteering with Special Olympics since the mid-90s. Over the years, Kelly has helped the organization in many ways, including leading fundraising initiatives, running portions of competitive and fundraising events as a management team member, and serving on the board of directors. Please welcome Kelly.
Good evening. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I would like to again thank the 50th Anniversary Gala Committee for their dedication to Special Olympics New Hampshire and the incredible work they have done in making tonight's event so successful. It has been a year-long process, and we can't thank them enough for everything that they've done for us. I'd also like to thank our Board of Directors for their commitment to ensuring that our organization remains fiscally strong and continues to strengthen our programs and increase the number of athletes actively participating. I ask that all directors please stand to be recognized. Don't be shy. Thank you all so very much for your support, not only of Special Olympics, but of our board and everything that we do. My involvement with Special Olympics New Hampshire began in 1995 when the company I was working for at that time became a corporate supporter and requested volunteers to assist with the summer games. In fact, I was on the first planning committee for the Penguin Plunge and was the naysayer that said, why would anyone want to jump into the Atlantic Ocean in February? Mary just smiled at me and assured me it would be a success, and it was. I'm so glad that I was wrong because it's now our largest fundraiser each year. Well, I've been a volunteer for the past 25 years and a board member for 8 years. It's only recently that my support for Special Olympics has become quite personal. My grandson, Jaden, has autism and also antisocial disorder. While he's not yet an athlete, his counselor at Ready, Set, Connect, the Autism Center here in Manchester, assures us that he will be soon. So we're looking forward to that. I know that participating in Special Olympics will help Jaden build confidence in himself, help him feel like he's included rather than ignored by his peers, and build lifelong friendships. I pick Jaden up at school on Tuesdays to bring him to Ready, Set, Connect and see him walk out of school with his head down, being ignored by other students. I always thought it was due to his antisocial disorder, which prevents him from making eye contact with those he's not comfortable with. However, 3 weeks ago, he was physically bullied in school and just stood there while being punched. Excuse me. The student was suspended, but that damage will linger on. Jaden truly sees himself as an outsider, and other students now see him as someone who's easy to pick on because he won't defend himself. While it breaks my heart to see Jaden suffer this way, it also makes me wonder how many other students like Jaden are experiencing the same difficulties in schools throughout our state. So as you can see, this is quite personal to me. It is for this very reason that I want to see our unified sports program continue to grow throughout schools in our state. Special Olympics is dedicated to promoting social inclusion through shared sports training and competition experiences. Unified sports joins people with and without intellectual disabilities on the same team. It was inspired by the simple principle, training together and playing together is a quick path to friendship and understanding. Statistics also show that bullying significantly decreases in schools participating in unified sports. What better way is there to ensure that students with intellectual disabilities no longer feel like outsiders, build friendships, and more importantly, thrive within the school environment? On behalf of Jaden and myself, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting Special Olympics.
I think now would be a good time to have the board of directors stand up and be recognized for the third time tonight because we're getting a great core workout. Just kidding, just kidding. It's essentially a squat, standing up, sitting down. We got 2 squats in tonight, so. All right. Thanks, Kelly. We'd like to, I just took your line, so I'm just gonna keep going. We'd like to welcome Father Matthew Masons for tonight's invocation. You would have read it better. You can have my line.
Father Matthew Mason is a
Vocations, I think. I don't have my glasses on. Just say, here's Father Mason.
Here's Father Mason.
Being here tonight, I can't help but think of my good friend Rachel, who's a Special Olympic athlete and a member of my church family, and she puts her heart and soul into everything she does, including singing every song at every service at the top of her lungs, but also it seems like she always has extra joy when she comes back from a competition and always shows us her medals. And so I'm sure we all have people like that we're thinking about tonight, so with that love in our hearts, let us pray. Loving God, we know you made each one of us for a reason, to bring joy and love into this world. You know each one of us by name, and you glory in our accomplishments. You celebrate our success. We thank you tonight for 50 years of Special Olympics in New Hampshire. We thank you for the athletes who work so hard, who compete so well, and who love so faithfully. We thank you for the coaches and volunteers and staff, seen and unseen, who organize our competitions, cheer us to victory, and pick us up when we fall. We thank you for all the friends and benefactors that make Special Olympics such a joy to be a part of. Help us to be more like these athletes and run the race that lies before us. Help us to overcome the obstacles that bar our path, to not be afraid of the challenge, to cheer one another on, and so come to that place where true gladness is found, the place where we are able to love and be loved. Bless our friendship and our gathering and our food tonight, and help us to think of what is at the end of the race, that great banquet where you invite your precious children to sit and be satisfied with all that you give to us, with hearts of gold bursting forever and ever. Amen.
Thanks, Father Matt.
We'll take a short break now while the salad is served.
Think of this as the 2-minute warning in a football game, and you'll have a moment to enjoy the salad, but then we're going to do more program, and then dinner will be halftime, okay? So TV timeout, 2-minute warning. All right, and we are back. If I could have everybody's attention. Hopefully you enjoyed your salad. Pam, do I have any in my teeth? Am I good? Okay. No, we're good. We're good. We did want to let everybody know, you've probably already figured it out, but you do have an athlete at every table, and they have trading cards, which they love to give out, and you can have those autographed. And they also have a special notebook that you're welcome and invited to autograph for them if you'd like. So hopefully you've been enjoying getting to know the athletes at your tables. We'd like to introduce our next speaker. Mike Quinn began his association with Special Olympics in 1968. He served in a number of volunteer roles, including coach, games director, board member, and fundraiser, while working in human services as director of a residential summer camp for children and adults with disabilities and director of a rehab center in the Lakes region of New Hampshire.
In 1987, Mike was hired as executive director of Special Olympics New Hampshire and filled the role for 22 years until his retirement in 2009. During his tenure as the CEO, Mike assisted in the review of Special Olympics Russia and served on the variety national committee, including Insurance and Risk Management Task Force and the Chapter Management Advisory Council.
After his retirement, Mike served as the interim CEO for Special Olympics New Jersey and assisted with a search for their new CEO. Please join us in welcoming Mike Quinn, who's going to talk with us about the early days of Special Olympics New Hampshire.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for coming. It's very exciting for me to be here tonight. It has been a long and interesting road with Special Olympics over the last 50 years. When Mary called me and told me about the Gala celebration and the plan for it, she asked me if I would be interested in saying a few words, and I said, sure, I would love to do that. And I said, what would you like me to talk about? And she said, well, just kind of give a rundown of the 50 years. And I said, oh, that'll be challenging, but how long do you want me to talk? And she said, 5 minutes. So I'll do my best. We kind of came to a compromise. She said I could talk for 6 minutes, and I said I would cover the first half of the 50 years, and she's going to take up the rest. But in 1968, I was the recreation director at the Laconia State School and Training Center with a small staff and a small budget and big ideas. At the time, the whole deinstitutionalization move was on across the country. And in the recreation department, we had spent all our equipment budget on camping equipment and a van. The idea being that we would take residents out of the institution, out on camping trips into the community to begin to acclimate them to recreation services that were available on a community basis. On the basis of that, we received an invitation from Eunice Kennedy Shriver to attend those very first games in Chicago. After a lot of administrative angst and going through some hoops that ultimately required the permission of the governor and council, we put a team of athletes together to travel to Chicago via that van and all the camping equipment to Chicago and back. It was a huge success, and thus Special Olympics in New Hampshire began. In 1970, and again in 1971, New Hampshire held its first games. And this gets back to where we had people in the very early days working with very little resources, putting events together on their personal strength. Jean Tufts was the principal of the Rockingham School for Special Needs Kids in Exeter, and she was the first state director for Special Olympics. Her husband, Arthur Tufts, was a tremendous asset to the events as well. Arthur was the president of the New Hampshire Senate. So in 70 and 71, Jean put those games on. At the end of the games in 71, she asked me if I would be able to take over as the state games director the following year, which I did on the basis of having with me a group of 7 or 8 young people who were much smarter than we are now, to take over the entire event and operate it. Those games in '72 were held at Plymouth State College. Since then, the games have been held at Keene State, in the city of Manchester, at St. Anselm's College, and now they're held annually at the University of New Hampshire. In 1975, because we had been all volunteers up to that point, we determined that we needed to hire a full-time executive director, a paid position. And we had a meeting of that quote-unquote board of directors, again, 7 or 8 of us being very, very smart young people, and to determine who it is that would take over the program. We determined that that would be Fred Toll. Freddie was a great athlete himself and also a Peace Corps veteran who had done a good job there and had been involved with the program from day one. The ultimate decision was made to hire Fred because he was the only one in the crowd that wasn't married and didn't have any kids. We figured he could take the risk. And so he did. And for 10 years, Freddie grew the program exponentially off his kitchen table. We grew in the number of athletes, we grew in the amount of dollars that we were handling, we grew in all aspects, including the quality of the training and competition that was going on. Finally, Fred hired our first staff member, Tom O'Brien, who had been at the Mount Hope School in Nashua. Tom was also an excellent athlete, specializing in winter sports. Winter games, the first ones were held, I think it was in 1972 or 74 that we held the first winter games. In any event, Tom took it upon himself to grow the winter program. He had an ongoing relationship with Herb Boynton up at the Bretton Woods ski area and would acquire the cross-country skis and snowshoes from their rental program that they were taking out of the program because they were replacing them with new ones. Tom would load the van with that equipment, and he would go school to school throughout the state, and he would equip athletes in the special education classes with skis, poles, and boots. And then after he got everybody suited up, he would take them out to the nearest field, and he would give lessons in cross-country skiing. As a result of that, over a period of time, our winter games began to grow, and soon we had hundreds of athletes coming to those games, participating, training first, and then participating in those winter sports. It was a tremendous, tremendous asset to the entire program and the growth of it, expanding the number of sports that we were able to offer. In the early 1980s, we held our first statewide basketball tournament, and the state games and tournaments began to become overnight events, involving formal opening ceremonies, dinners, dances, and other social activities. A true expansion of the Special Olympics experience was taking place. Genuine friendships among athletes, coaches, and family members were developing. Our focus was shifting to more sophisticated organization with emphasis on better training for athletes, coaches, and volunteers. Today, Special Olympics New Hampshire is a year-round sports organization offering training and competition in 17 different sports. From basic track to triathlon, our athletes learn important life lessons. When training and striving for a goal, they learn to dream. When they struggle, they learn determination. When they win, they find joy. And if they lose, they find the strength to try again. So thank you for being here tonight to celebrate 50 years of Special Olympics. It's been an amazing experience, and I'm so excited about what will be accomplished in the next 50 years. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Next, we would like to introduce Bonnie and Maggie, who would like to share their story with us.
Hi, my name is Bonnie, and I've been doing Special Olympics since I was 8 years old. I started with skiing, floor hockey, track and field. When I was older, I did bowling, snowboarding, and bocce. I like it because it makes me feel like a winner. I like being friends with people with disabilities because I have one too. But to me, I don't feel like I have a disability. I just feel like a normal person. I love my life. I'm happy to have such a great family. My dad is the coach of our team. Sometimes my parents drive me up a wall. But mostly, I'm really happy that they do Special Olympics with me. It makes us closer. When I was 22 years old, I moved out of my parents' house to my own apartment in Keene for 8 years. My mom said that was very brave of me. She would never be brave enough to live by herself in a big city. In 2014, I was picked to go to the USA Games in New Jersey, and I got to play with 3 amazing athletes. My favorite friend was Giggles. I called her that because she laughed a lot. I'm thankful every day that I'm alive and overcame so many obstacles. Please welcome my mom, Maggie Kyle.
Thank you, Bonnie. Actually, it's Bonnie who Mary asked me here to talk about. When we think back to the 80s, we think about big hair, neon colors, maybe a little bit of punk rock. Those were all cool things about that decade. But there were a few things that weren't so cool back then. For example, the Laconia State School was still open. If you're not familiar, Google it sometime. Another uncool thing was that even educated people, such as doctors, often referred to people with intellectual disabilities as retarded. When I was pregnant with Bonnie in 1986, they did an ultrasound and told us she had fluid on the brain. The doctor said the prognosis was very poor, that if she survived the pregnancy, she would be so severely retarded that she would have to live in an institution. She would ruin our son's life, and she would ruin our marriage. They said we should terminate the pregnancy and try again. We hoped we would get a different answer, so we went to several other doctors, but they all said the same thing. We had to break this news to our families. We were telling Scott's folks, and his brother Dave was visiting from Keene. Dave said that he and his wife Nancy and their girls had been volunteering with Special Olympics. In fact, he and Mary Conroy are old friends. He said that a person's value is so much more than their IQ score, that these are real people, and the joy and the courage he sees in them every day is something you don't see anywhere else. We should consider that before we made our decision. We did. We changed our minds and went ahead with the pregnancy. While her first few years were pretty rough, it turned out that the doctors were right about Bonnie having an intellectual disability, but not much else. I want to skip ahead to a day when Bonnie was 8 years old. She came home from school and said that her physical therapist said she could ski with Special Olympics. I wasn't excited about it. Bonnie is the world's biggest klutz. Her balance is horrible, and I was sure she was going to break her neck. But she said, "No, Mom, I can do it." So we let her, and she skied for 4 winters. Then she came home one day and said that they told her she could try snowboarding. Holy cow! Not sure if you know this, but when you snowboard, both of your feet are attached to the board. I was very opposed to this, but she said, "No, Mom, I can do it." So we went and got her a snowboard. I was the mother standing at the bottom of the mountain with my eyes covered. I just couldn't watch. But Bonnie was the first snowboarder for Fall Mountain Special Olympics and the first female boarder for Special Olympics New Hampshire. That was about 21 years ago. Every winter, Bonnie goes out and practices each Sunday and comes home all bruised, her legs, her butt, her arms. While I'm getting her ice packs, I say, "Bonnie, you can go back to skiing." And she says, "No, Mom, I can do it." So I cannot tell you how proud we were 4 years ago when Bonnie stood up on the podium 3 times, once for each snowboarding event. She received not 1 and not 2, but 3 gold medals. in the car on the way home, Bonnie's in the back seat. We actually thought she was sleeping until we heard, "See, Mom, I told you I could do it." Yeah, see, she knows. She totally knows. Miss Attitude. Bonnie has faced so many challenges in her life. She's had 11 operations. She's deaf. And like so many people with disabilities, she was picked on in school. And those are just the highlights. I don't have 3 hours to tell you all of the challenges she's faced, but she's faced them all and overcome them all. Bonnie has great self-esteem. She is steadfast in her goals. She perseveres. This was sparked and nurtured by Special Olympics, and it carries over into her everyday life. My husband Scott is the coordinator of our local program, so for us, Special Olympics is a family affair. Bonnie and her friends participate in sports year-round. They love getting together to practice, and they truly enjoy coming to the regional and state games to see old friends, as well as to meet new ones. In 2014, Bonnie was chosen to go to the USA Games to represent Team New Hampshire for bocce. She still corresponds with the friends she met there from Illinois, Mississippi, and Hawaii. When you get roped into making a speech about something, it makes you really take time to sit down and think about it. As I was writing about Bon's experiences, I thought about how she never really fit in at school. When we made those early decisions, Scott and I thought we did everything right. She went to both public school and a school for the deaf, so we could see where she would be able to fit in best. And you know, that's what everybody wants in life. They want to find a place where they can fit in. It was pretty clear to us from the start that the public school, even with an interpreter, wasn't the best fit for her. In kindergarten and first grade, they had a list for the kids to take turns playing with Bonnie at recess. I think they had good intentions and their heart was in the right place, but Bonnie was not a toy to be played with. She needed to be able to find her own friends. In the school for the deaf, which is where she spent the majority of her school career, Bonnie was with people who spoke the same language. We hoped that would be enough, but that didn't work out so well either. There, she was called stupid and fat and short and cross-eyed. Those are all words that hurt, whether they're spoken with your lips or your fingers. Bonnie got through all that, though, which again, I credit to her ties with Special Olympics. Where I'm really going with this is that it doesn't happen anymore. When Bonnie is with her Special Olympics team, all I see is camaraderie, some good-natured ribbing, lots of fun and joy and determination. And now, when Bonnie is with other people, I still see joy and a bright smile and a rather wicked sense of humor. Her ability to fit in with her teammates has carried over, so now she seems to fit in everywhere else, too. So that little girl, the one who was going to live in an institution, she got married last Saturday. She was surrounded by 140 of her best friends while her daddy walked her across the green to the gazebo in her beautiful white dress and gave her away to the man she loves and who loves her. They've begun their lives together, and she's living the dream. When we were setting up for the wedding, we had a friend who moved to Georgia a few years ago. She flew back up here just to help cater the wedding. 2 others wanted to be there so badly that they offered to work for free, just to be able to be part of it all. The friend who altered her dress said, "No way, I am not taking money for this, it's for Bonnie." The 2 sign language interpreters were so grateful to be there. They both told me what an honor it was to be part of such a special event. That's the effect she has on people. She has a special way about her. Her wit, her charm, and her sweet spirit just make people happy to be around her. So you might ask yourself what all this has to do with Special Olympics. Bonnie has learned so much from being part of this group. She's learned that she can take on anything as long as she puts her mind to it. She's learned to persevere. She's learned to follow the rules. She's learned to win, but more importantly, she's learned to lose gracefully. Since she won the 3 golds for snowboarding, there have been many times that she hasn't ended up in first place, but she's still a winner because she's gotten up and done it again. She's a married woman now. Bonnie has worked at TJ Maxx for 11 years and also Kohl's for the past 4 years. She and 3 of her buddies who are on our Special Olympic bowling team also bowl on our Friday night bowling league. You should hear the sparks fly when their team bowls against ours. Ugh. Bonnie lives a life that many of her friends envy, people both with and without disabilities. She's found her way in the world, and our family will always be grateful for the influence that Special Olympics has had on all of us. When Dave told us 30 years ago about courage and joy, it was the truest thing I have ever heard. Thank you.
Thanks, Maggie and Bonnie.
That was amazing, and best wishes to the bride. Could we also have a big round of applause for our sign language specialists? Jamie and Pam are the greatest hosts ever. Applause. More applause. Standing ovation. Thank you very much. I think we have reached our dinner. Enjoy. When you see the Jimmy Fallon video, you know that we're coming back. Enjoy.
Hey guys, I just want to say congrats on 50 years of the Special Olympics. You're such an incredible organization. You're still going strong, and it's awesome. So awesome, in fact, that I want to put it to a beat. Roots?
Success in sports is the name of the game. Playing with pride is the primary aim. Exceptional, effortless, they go to extremes. It's a coveted community that's chasing a dream. Incredible, inclusive, and it's so invigorating. It's all of the above because these athletes are amazing. Listen up, the legendary leading the pack. Outstanding Olympians, they on the attack. It's all about the love, living life with no fear. You got me yelling yes, year after year. Magnificent and masterful, I marvel at the mightiness. It's passionate and powerful, and y'all know where the party is. Principal, impressive, 50 years of medal. So crush it in Chicago, these games are something special.
Yeah. Woohoo! How fun was that, Pam?
That was pretty awesome.
Before we get going, I have some great news. I finished my dinner second fastest at my table, and I do have a silver medal here with me. Do you want to put it on me? Would you mind? Or thanks. Yeah. Yay! Only Jason Kimball ate faster than I did, and he's been with Special Olympics for 39 years. You can't beat the A train. You just can't. Big Al. All right.
Next, we have a very special presentation.
We would like Mike, Mary, and Roland Sprague to please join us on stage.
Back in about 3 years before Special Olympics kicked off in 1968, going way back to 1965, I mentioned the whole deinstitutionalization thing that we were giving a shot at the Recreation Department and throughout the entire state institution. Well, we had a basketball team that I had the honor of being the coach of, and we would, I can recall calling athletic directors throughout the entire Lakes region and begging them to let us play their JV teams in the afternoon after school. And, you name the time, we'll be there. And we got several games that way. Fortunately, among institutions around New England, everybody kind of was looking for the same thing, to move things along through sports, or one of the things. And we had a basketball team, and there was a basketball tournament, the New England tournament for folks with ID. And we went to that tournament. Roland was one of our key players at that event. And I can recall playing a team from Connecticut. We were in one of the lower divisions in terms of the competitiveness of it. But these guys, they had real fancy uniforms, like satin kinds of things. And we had the same uniforms that we wore for softball, track and field, soccer, and basketball. And we were losing in the fourth quarter by about 12 points. And we tried to do it right in terms of the coaching and whatnot, spread the ball around, keep everybody involved, et cetera, et cetera. But the attitude of this other team was just too much. So I said to Roland, Roland, you know that business about spreading the ball around, keeping everybody involved in the game? He said, yeah. I said, forget it. I said, you take the ball, you score some points. And in the last 6 minutes of that game, single-handedly, Roland played defense and offense, scored 14 points, and we won by 2. Not my greatest coaching moment, but an excellent victory. So, Roland, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to give you a Lifetime Achievement Award presentation. For 50 years, beginning with your participation in the very first International Special Olympics Games, you have exemplified the courage, joy, and determination that defines Special Olympics. You are an athlete, a trailblazer, and an inspiration. I'm very pleased on behalf of Special Olympics New Hampshire to present you with a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Mary, don't go far. Oh, that's me. Congratulations, Roland.
Our next speaker, Mary Conroy, has worked for Special Olympics for 31 years. She grew up in New Hampshire and attended UNH, and after spending 2 years in the Peace Corps, introducing Special Olympics to Costa Rica, she joined the team at Special Olympics New Hampshire.
During her tenure, she has served in many roles, including program director, director of development, and vice president. Today, she's the organization's president and CEO.
Please welcome, joining us, and welcome Mary Conroy.
Yay!
Thank you, guys. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I was nervous. Now I'm very nervous, so. Good evening. I'm so proud to be here today leading Special Olympics New Hampshire as we celebrate this very important milestone. You've heard tonight from my mentor, Mike Quinn, about how our organization began and how we have, over time, become a serious sports organization focused on skill development and competitive opportunities for athletes of all ability levels. You've heard directly from the people we serve, Bonnie and Maggie, about how involvement in our program changes lives. Now, I'd like to talk with you about some of the additional initiatives we have introduced over the years and the impact they have had. In 1989, we brought unified sports to New Hampshire. Special Olympics Unified Sports is an inclusive program that combines an approximately equal number of people with and without ID on teams for training and competition. Through the shared experience of sport, teammates with and without ID come together and form meaningful relationships. The results of this program has been outstanding. Teammates with ID experience improved social competence and social inclusion while decreasing problem behavior. Teammates without ID improve their attitude toward people with ID. All teammates with and without ID report that unified sports improved their confidence and self-esteem. As the confidence of our athletes grew, so did our expectations. In 1996, we introduced athlete leadership programs, where through organized training and practical experiences, athletes undertake meaningful positions of influence and leadership throughout the Special Olympics organization, both on and off the playing field. As a result of this program, people with ID in New Hampshire serve as volunteers, fundraisers, coaches, members of our board of directors, and spokespeople for our organization. In 2003, we brought the Special Olympics Healthy Athlete Program to New Hampshire at our state summer games. Despite severe need and higher health risks, people with intellectual disability are often denied health services and die on average 16 years sooner than the general population. Impaired coping abilities and communication skills are common among people with ID and can mask health concerns. This can lead to a breakdown in the quality of health care and health education for people with ID. The Healthy Athletes Program offers free health screenings and education to Special Olympics athletes in a welcoming, fun environment. In addition to providing exams to our athletes, these trainings provide necessary experience for health professionals who frequently report having inadequate training to treat people with ID. These providers take the skills back to their practices and provide higher quality health care to people with ID in their communities. In 2009, we combined what we had learned about the friendships formed through unified sports with the leadership skills we'd seen demonstrated in athlete leadership programming to launch Unified Champion Schools in New Hampshire. Young people today face many challenges, from achieving personal and academic success to feeling emotionally and physically healthy and safe. Unfortunately, the typical school and social environment for young people can be fraught with obstacles that hamper their learning and negatively impact their overall happiness and development. These challenges are compounded for some students due to the presence of an intellectual disability. Many students with disabilities experience social isolation and rejection at school, and even victimization in the form of bullying. With sports as the foundation, the Special Olympics Unified Champion Schools program offers a combination of activities that equip young people with tools and training to create sport, classroom, and community experiences that reduce bullying and exclusion, promote healthy activity and interactions, combat stereotypes and stigma, eliminate hurtful language in schools, and engage young people in pro-social activities that lead to more inclusive and accepting attitudes, behaviors, and school climate. Special Olympics Unified Champion Schools are those that promote social inclusion by fostering inclusive youth leadership, uniting students with and without intellectual disabilities on school sport teams through Special Olympics Unified Sports, and promoting acceptance and understanding through inclusive student clubs and school-wide initiatives. In 2011, as part of our Unified Champion Schools programming and in collaboration with the New Hampshire Interscholastic Athletic Association, the NHIAA, we began to offer 3 seasons of unified sports in New Hampshire's high schools. Through this program, more high schools with and without intellectual disabilities are able to represent their high school on a sports team. These unified teams represent their high school just like any other sports team. They practice, travel, compete against other schools during the season, and may play for an NHIAA high school championship. We've seen tremendous change in schools because of this program. I've listened to countless athletes and their parents talk about the pride they feel being able for the first time to wear their school's uniform, to get out of the school early for a ride on a regular bus to an away game, and to get to stop on the way home with their friends to grab a post-game meal at McDonald's. What I've realized is these seemingly mundane experiences for a person with an intellectual disability mean so much. These experiences that people without ID take for granted every day, to our athletes demonstrates inclusion. At Dover High School, there's no longer a special education table in the lunchroom. Special education students are sitting with the friends they've made through our programs. At Hinsdale High School, Athletic Director Mike McCusker said, unified sports is the best thing he brought to his school in the 25 years that he worked there. He explained it's given the student body an opportunity to celebrate the successes of their classmates with ID. Through unified programming, we are changing the way people with and without ID interact. When I look to the future of our organization, I know that at the core, we've always been and will always be about sport. We'll continue to offer training and competitive opportunities for children and adults with intellectual disabilities throughout the state. We'll challenge ourselves to do what we do better and to improve the competitive experience for all that participate. But over time, we've learned that sport can be so much more than recreation. Sport is a catalyst for change. It's a universal language that connects diverse groups of people. And while we have done tremendous work over these last 50 years, there's still a general lack of understanding and awareness as to the competence and the range of accomplishments achievable by people with intellectual disabilities. The stereotype commonly held that all people with ID are alike and that they're unable to learn, live, and work as contributing members of the community is pervasive. In the next 50 years, we'll work to change those stereotypes. We'll use sport to break down barriers. We'll educate the community about all the people with ID are capable of. We'll work to create a world where people are defined by their abilities instead of by their disabilities. Thank you all for being here tonight and celebrating with us. In front of each of you, there's a red envelope. If you are inspired by tonight's presentation and would like to be a champion of change, please take a few minutes and look at both sides, and if you're interested in offering your support. When you're done, please pass the envelope to the athletes sitting at your table. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Was that your boss right there?
Yes.
Mary's your boss?
Yeah.
And you work Monday through Thursdays?
Yeah.
So what's today?
It's Saturday, but I'm an athlete, so I'm not working.
What did she call it? A volunteer day?
Yeah.
That is so nice of Mary to let you have volunteer days at the job. Thank you for that standing ovation for Mary. There wasn't a person that didn't have a huge smile on their face, and that's because Mary is Special Olympics, and she's one of the most genuine people you will ever meet in your life. Mary is beloved to New Hampshire. I was thinking this earlier tonight when I said hello to her. When Mary Conroy asks you, how are you, more than anyone ever in my life, you know she means it, and she's looking for an honest answer, and she can't go any further in the conversation until she knows how you're doing, and that is awesome. She's the best. Thank you, Mary. All right, so we just have a few final housekeeping items before we let you go dance with Mark Duggan. His wife said he will be there till 10. The timeline will be open in the ballroom till 9:15. I don't know what a timeline is, but it's open for a little while longer. 45 minutes in the timeline. The dance floor is open till 10. Dessert and coffee are served. Don't forget to hand your card to the athlete on your table, and check the website sonh.org to stay up to date on all that's happening with Special Olympics. We'd like to extend a big thank you to everyone who made tonight a success, the Gala Organizing Committee, our DJ Bob Cormier, our photographers Tim Macerno and Eileen Larry, our hosts, the Doubletree Hotel, and MFI Productions. I assume Bob Cormier, that's still to come, the DJing, is that right? Or did he already do that? No, it's to come. All right. Tilton is quiet tonight, so we got Bob, we're ready to go. All right, you can read this part.
Yeah. That includes tonight's presentation. Thank you to everyone for being here. We are so excited about all the Special Olympics New Hampshire have accomplished over the last 50 years and can't wait to see what's next.
Yes. We do have two quick things.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to do a special thanks. So Kelly and Megan, will you come up here? I'm going to present you some flowers.
Yes. Kelly Gelinas and Megan McMullen, please come up. They're coming from each side. I'll do one. Okay. Thank you. Oh, you're going to do a photo over here with Pam.
Oh, come on.
Yes. While the photos happen, we also want to invite athlete Sarah Bissonette to come up, and she has a special gift from Mary. Are you wearing a bell? Oh, it's all her medals. Of course it is. Sarah is a great artist, and she has painted something for Mary. Let's see what that looks like, Mary. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you, Sarah. We're going to take a picture. We're going to take a picture. And that's it, right, Pam? So dessert is in the back of the room, and Mark Duggan, if you could lead us to the dance floor, that would be great. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Hope you had a great night.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference. Our demands are
equality,
dignity, and the recognition of our shared humanity.
we will not stop or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
more divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.